there's one little spot here. Now what's interesting is the x-rays, they're a little deceiving sometimes because this cavity on the x-ray looked like it was directly in between the teeth. It was actually in between the teeth, but more towards the roof of your mouth. But you really can't determine that until you start working on it. So that's why I like to go slow. Alright, we started off the well. I think we got that cleaned up. And what I want to do is I want to go and smooth that composite on the one behind it real quick. I'm going to take advantage of this situation here for just a second, Marshall. I'm actually going to go and polish and band off the filling that's right behind it, because you really can't do that other than right now. So we're going to take advantage of that.
Okay.
So if you were worried if it was going to hurt or bother you at all, you would have already raised your hand up. We're way past that point. Just go round that off a little bit, just make that a little bit smoother.
If you want to prep the lower one and then fill them both, or
let's just go and get this one down.
you got it.
I'll round that off a little bit better. Make it. There we go. All right, good. All right. So we've removed all the decay. Now we have to put the filling in. So we're going to use a little loop. It's going to go around the tooth, and you've had this done before because yeah, you've got other fillings just like this. This is where you're going to feel it put a little bit of pressure on the roof of the mouth side, okay? Because again, that's not numb. So I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. I think it's a little tricky here. Wow, it's a hollow tiny. Again, this is where you feel it kind of pushing on the gums there a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, the only way to get rid of that sensation there would be to numb you up on the roof of the mouth side. I will just tell you, here's the deal. The shot hurts worse than what you're feeling right now, so take the lesser of the two evils there. Okay, good. And I'll give you a good view of this here in just a second as soon as I get it.
Okay.
So what these are what are called wedges. They're designed to go in between the teeth, and what we're doing slightly is we're slightly pushing the teeth apart just a little bit. And the reason we're doing that is we're trying to make up for the little bit of space that metal has, so that if the teeth are pushed apart, we put the filling in there, and then we take that little band off, and they touch again. Okay. It also seals up the opening at the bottom there. So good. All right. So can you see in my mirror here as I reflect that? It's what basically looks like there's there's what we call two boxes. There's like a box there and a box there.
Oh yeah.
And that goes down in between the teeth. That's straight up here, straight up there.
Okay.
So, all right, let's dry that off a little bit. Time to put a filling in.
And if you need more, I have it.
Okay. And what this is, Marshall, is honestly, it's actually phosphoric acid.
Hey.
It's pretty blue though,
It
isn't
is
it?
a good
yeah.
okay. So what this is doing is it's microscopically roughening the surface of that tooth.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, and so what it does is it creates more surface area, so the filling glues better. Okay. At this point, we don't want anything to get wet after I rinse it off. So hold on, I'm gonna rinse this off a little bit. It can taste pretty bad, sorry. But most of the time, the suction gets most of it.
You know, I thought that stuff tasted good when I know, I nod. But when I had braces put on,
It's very sour.
yes, and I kind of
You've had actually this used multiple times.
Oh, okay.
Everything from sealants to your brackets being bonded on.
Oh, okay.
Everything uses that same. It's the same technology.
Do you want me to keep the light on?
No, you actually need it down because it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so there's different layers that we put on the filling material here. There are different products out there. Some of the newer, I should say newer. Some don't even do. I kind of like using a little bit older, almost redundant step here. You can actually skip that blue cleaner with this stuff, but I just like a little bit better bond, and I'd rather spend an extra 2 or 3 minutes on it. So I actually kind of do things a little overkill, probably a little bit too much glue, if you will.
Don't look directly at the blue light.
Yeah, this is the real bright light. This is what's setting up some polymerization. It's actually hardening up the material that's in there. So this first layer is kind of watery, and what it did is it went down into, if you could just envision the surface of that tooth being very, very rough, what that first layer did is it was so watery, it goes down in between all the roughness and locks onto it. And then what happens is then the filling locks onto that layer. I'm just doing, again, this is one of those other little extra steps that kind of started doing just cuts down on some sensitivity. So now you put another layer there.
Dr. Torres tried the not using that, but using the
Just
I
the
think it was
all-in-one.
single bond
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
We found a lot of post-op sensitivity.
Yeah,
a lot of it. And
now
so
some
we
will argue
stopped.
though that doing the extra etching will create sensitivity. But
Right.
I'll be honest with you, you've seen it. We just don't get that
Yeah,
much sensitivity.
exactly. We had a lot of that, and it wasn't worth it.
Ball burnisher, please. Give me a second to do this little extra step here. Thank you. Feels kind of weird. And here comes the filling. Actually, it's just like a putty. We literally just kind of inject in there. There you go.
Is that empty? Yeah.
A little glass, please. Good. So just going through the steps, So we actually, what I'm doing here is I've actually kind of overfilled it. There's a little extra material everywhere. And then I'm just going to take some of it off. But then a lot of times what I'll do is after we get the filling in there and it's hard, I can polish it and adjust it a little bit as we need to. So that's a little extra for you. There we go. Let's cure that. All right, going to use a little light bulb there again. So when I show it to you in just a second, it'll look like there's a filling in there. You'll see it's going to look a little rough. We'll polish that and everything in a second. Let's see, Marsha, how old are you? 25? 25?
25.
25.
26. Oh, okay.
25. So I've been at this office for 18 plus years. So I'm just trying to remember when you were like a little kid. I mean, your sister was like,
Youngins.
She done went and got hit. She went and did all that crazy stuff. I'm going to take this out for right now. There we go. I'm going to slip this out. I don't know why I do sound effects when I do that.
You do sound effects a lot.
I do a lot.
It's great.
It is.
All right. Going to use my light here again. Now you notice that what you're going to notice is we haven't really done anything to it, but you notice the gums are bleeding a little bit just from taking that root. Now, why do they do that? Because a lot of times if there's decay in between the teeth, no matter, even if you started flossing like a madman, what's going to happen is plaque stays in that hole on the side of the tooth. So the gums react to that bacteria just sitting there. Now we've got a smooth surface on there. That gum tissue should behave. Okay. So I don't want you to freak out if you look in there right now and go, man, it's bleeding. Because you notice we didn't really do anything to the gums. We just, but it was just it's the pressure of that little loop going around on it. We do have oftentimes when we're doing, sometimes the gums don't bleed at all. But again, that's kind of goes along with what we saw. So let me rinse that off a little bit, and then we're going to hop down to the bottom here. I'll polish them both at the same time.